Today we're going to be taking a look at portfolio supervision. When we take a look at portfolio supervision, the first question I want us to consider is a discussion question that you're going to see on eCourseware. But do you believe that a portfolio should be required of all teachers? 10, 15 years ago, this was a requirement for all teachers. Now, with the technological capabilities that we have, you'll notice that there's a lot of variety in how teachers are required to maintain files, artifacts, examples, whatever it may be. But a portfolio can be beneficial, but it may be a waste of time. So what I want you to do is I want you to consider two sides. As part of the yes group, I want you to provide an argument for the establishment of a portfolio for all teachers. What would be the benefit? Why would you want your teacher, or excuse me, your teachers to have a portfolio? And then I also want you to have a no argument. So provide an argument against having a requirement for creating a portfolio. And so based on your responses, hopefully we'll be able to generate a good discussion on whether or not we believe portfolios to be a benefit. When we look at portfolio supervision, there's a couple of things I want us to consider. First of all, we want to examine the benefits. Now, the purpose of supervision is to assist in development, and portfolios is a way for us to assess teacher progress. If I was to look at the portfolio of a teacher, it's going to give me a good idea of not only what they have done, but it also gives me a glimpse of who they are as a person through what they've created. For example, when we think about portfolios, they are used in higher education to chronicle growth through coursework and clinical experiences. I still have my portfolio from my undergraduate degree. It's here with me in my office. If I was to look at my portfolio today, one, it gives me a good reminder of where I was as a teacher. It reminds me of what my work looked like, the type of assessment that I was doing, the type of work examples that I had that my students completed. But it also allows me to see the growth. It allows me to see the change that's taking place in my own personal teaching. So what is a portfolio? Look at the definition of what a portfolio is: an organized, goal-driven documentation of your professional growth and achieve competence in the complex act called teaching. I think the key word here is competence. When we think about portfolio, we want to see the good work that's been done. The assessment of teaching is an ongoing process, so a portfolio can display development of goals, artifacts that offer strong examples of teaching, feedback received, and reflection on the artifacts as they relate to teaching practices. So the question becomes, what are artifacts? Well, if you look at the definition, it says they offer strong examples of teaching. So your artifacts may be lesson plans, they may be examples of assessment. They're going to be anything that gives a glimpse of what you're doing as a teacher. Feedback received and reflection on may be related to the work that the students provide. The students are going to provide feedback in a variety of ways. They may reflect on a variety of projects, but the feedback that you receive and the reflection of the students and yourself is going to provide a good example of you as a teacher. So what are the contents of a portfolio? We've discussed some of the things that you're going to see in a portfolio, but it does vary. But it's going to be based on the goals targeted by the teacher. So a couple of things that may be included in your portfolio include a scope and sequence. If I was, for example, if you're an elementary physical education teacher and I come observe and I look at your portfolio, I should be able to see what you're going to teach over the time period of a year. I should see examples of lesson plans, not only for kindergarten, first grade, but for all grades that you are teaching. What types of assessment are you doing? Assessment is really big right now in the state of Tennessee, across the United States. And so when we think about assessment, it's really important for us to show some good examples of what's being done in the classroom. Evaluations from your primary evaluator, from your principal, from other teachers in physical education. It's always good to see how others are responding to the teaching that's taking place. Letters from parents. Any type of feedback you receive that reflects on your teaching can be beneficial, because any type of feedback we receive is going to allow us to grow as a teacher. And then finally, especially with today and the opportunities that we have from a technological standpoint, we should all have photographs, we should all have videos displaying what's taking place in our classroom. So the essential skills of portfolio supervision: 1, reflection. Many teachers never get to use their portfolios. So one of the things that I always recommend to our teachers is that when you are creating a portfolio, create it in a way that it's going to be useful for you, not only now, but in the future as well. And then goal setting. What is your goal in your first year of teaching, and how can your portfolio assist you? So think about the goals that you want to set, the goals that you want to establish over a time period. It may be 1 year, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe even 5. But use your portfolio to see whether or not those goals are being achieved. Number 3, self-analysis. When we think about self-analysis, our portfolio is going to give us the opportunity to reflect on our work as a teacher. And then finally, decision making. For example, let me give you an example of what took place as it relates to decision making. In my first year of teaching, I noticed that my 5th graders needed a little bit more. My 5th graders were doing a lot of individual skill work, but they were ready for modified games and activities that will help them to work on not only their teamwork, but their tactical awareness as well. And so that helped me with the transition into sport education and being able to introduce that to them as a group. And so this week, when we think about portfolios and we think about how portfolios can assist us in the evaluation process, we're going to look at a couple of things as it relates to who may be doing that evaluation. So we think about cooperating teachers. So this week we're going to read 2 articles that talks a little bit about cooperating teachers and how that relationship can be effective as it relates to evaluation.